Forget about Dead Space's Necromorph. If you're a horror and creature design fan like me, you know the real space nightmare has a name: Xenomorph. This perfect killing machine with no visible eyes, acidic blood, and a mind-bending life cycle. Seriously, what other villain manages to be so scary and fascinating at the same time? Today, we'll dive into these aliens' bizarre anatomy and uncover their darkest secrets. So, who do you think would win in a fight, the Xenomorph or the Necromorph? Leave your guess in the comments. Get ready, because what we're about to see will change how you look at a simple alien. Now that we've started with that dose of terror, let's get straight to the point. What exactly is a Xenomorph? Well, to begin with, they're much more than just monsters. They're true alien organisms with a unique physical structure. Imagine an elongated skeleton covered by a super-resistant exoskeleton, like natural armor, that varies according to the host's body. Yes, because this is one of the Xenomorph's most impressive abilities. They're extremely adaptable and incorporate part of their host organism's genetics. We clearly see this in the differences between types. The drone, the most common, usually smaller and more agile, with a smoother head. The warrior, larger and more imposing, with head ridges, acting as the hive's protector. And the queen, a true monstrosity, capable of laying hundreds of eggs and, in some cases, reaching impressive heights. Each with its role and appearance, but all with the same objective: survival and species propagation. This adaptability is what makes the Xenomorph so lethal. It's not just a predator, it becomes the perfect weapon for its environment. And of course, we can't forget the details that define its frightening appearance. The elongated head, the internal jaw that looks like a nightmare, and the spiked tail that can impale its victims with terrifying ease. With this overview of what a Xenomorph is, we can move on to the most fascinating part: their internal mysteries, physiology, and how they transform into this relentless predator. So, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, take this opportunity to do it now, and don't miss any of this detailed analysis. If the Xenomorph's appearance is already chilling, prepare yourself for what we're about to see now: the mysteries of their physiology. Because, believe me, they're even stranger and scarier on the inside. Starting with the most obvious, that elongated head, which looks like a demonic banana. Notice that it has no eyes, at least not in the way we understand them. But then, how do they see? Believe it or not, this is still a mystery. The most accepted theory is that they detect their prey through pheromones, vibrations, and perhaps even through electroreception, sensing living beings' electromagnetic fields. It's as if they see through a kind of alien radar. And inside that head, well, there we have the famous inner jaw, or attack tongue, a muscular appendage capable of projecting with incredible speed and force. It's as if the creature had two mouths, one for chewing and another for, well, let's say the second mouth isn't for eating, but for destroying. This inner jaw, powered by powerful muscles inside the head, can shred anything in its path. And we can't forget about the dorsal spines, those skeletal structures that project from the Xenomorph's back. They might look like just scary decorations, but they actually may have various functions. Some believe they serve as sensory or communication organs. Others say they provide body support or even act as radar, helping detect movements in the environment. There's even a theory that they secrete the resin used to build nests. Nobody knows for sure, but the fact is that these spines are undoubtedly another characteristic that makes the Xenomorph so unique. And, speaking of mysteries, we come to the matter of intelligence. Xenomorphs aren't exactly geniuses, but they're not just wild animals either. They demonstrate a certain level of instinctive intelligence, learning to use objects in their environment and adapting their behavior to survive. They operate with a hive mind, connected through the queen, who controls their thoughts and actions. In fact, the queen isn't just a mother. She also seems to have more advanced reasoning abilities, being capable of using technology and even communicating telepathically with potential hosts. And to complete this package of horrors, we have the acid blood, a defense weapon, and possibly also a digestive system. Yes, the Xenomorph has blood so corrosive it can dissolve almost any material except itself. This substance, which actually might not even be classified as blood, is a deadly resource it uses to protect and attack. And according to some theories, this acidic liquid might also be used in digestion, making the creature's digestive system spread throughout its entire body. These mysteries of xenomorph physiology only increase our fascination with this creature. And if you're enjoying uncovering these secrets, let's talk about the most horrifying part, the xenomorph's life cycle. If you thought the xenomorph's physiology was bizarre, prepare yourself for the next level of horror, their reproductive biology. Because, my friends, this creature's life cycle is a true masterpiece of terror and revulsion. Forget conventional reproduction. Here, things are much more organic, brutal, and frightening. It all starts with the eggs, or better yet, the ovomorphs, large leather-like cocoons that the queen deposits. Inside them rests the facehugger, the xenomorph's first larval form. This creature, with its spider-like legs and long tail, might seem harmless, but it's actually a relentless parasite. When it detects potential prey, the facehugger launches itself onto the victim's face, firmly attaching itself and inserting an embryo inside. It's a true biological nightmare. After that, the facehugger detaches and dies, leaving behind the next phase, the chestburster. Imagine the scene, a parasitic creature growing inside your chest, feeding off your body until the moment of birth arrives. And the birth is the most brutal thing possible. The chestburster emerges from its victim's chest, tearing through flesh and bone in an indescribable scene of horror. And to make it worse, the chestburster inherits characteristics from its host, making each xenomorph unique. This phase of the cycle is so frightening it's hard to believe it exists, but it's real. And it's just the beginning. After emerging, the chestburster flees to a safe place to develop. In a short time, it transforms into an adult, whether a drone, a warrior, or in special cases, a praetorian or even a new queen. Speaking of which, the queen deserves her own paragraph. She's the central piece of the hive, the creature that gives birth to all other xenomorphs. She lays hundreds of eggs, controls the hive mind, and in some cases can reproduce asexually. And the way a queen emerges is quite peculiar. Usually, a special facehugger implants a different embryo, creating a more powerful creature that will be able to control the hive. And as if that weren't enough, there's a new form of reproduction, even more horrifying. In some cases, xenomorphs use humans as true living incubators. They imprison their victims in cocoons, allowing new xenomorphs to grow inside their bodies until the moment of emergence, tearing through flesh and organs. It's terrifying and brutal in every sense of the word. And of course, we can't forget that the xenomorph's design was inspired by sexual organs, which makes the creature's life cycle and design even more impactful. All this is the result of the brilliant and disturbed mind of artist H.R. Giger, who managed to transform biological horror into art. The xenomorph's life cycle is a true lesson in terror, proof that nature can be much scarier than any fictional creature. But despite everything, this bizarreness is what makes this creature so fascinating. And if you're enjoying this journey through the darker side of alien biology, let's talk about these monsters' hunting abilities and tactics. With all this bizarre biology and frightening life cycle, you must be wondering, how do xenomorphs use all this to hunt? And the answer, my friends, is that they are true masters of hunting and survival. They don't rely just on brute force, but also on intelligent tactics and impressive abilities. Starting with the tail, which isn't just an appendage for balance, but rather a lethal weapon. With it, xenomorphs can impale their victims, attack by surprise, and even disperse their acid blood. They use their tail as a kind of deadly whip, attacking with speed and precision. And to make hunting even more effective, they are masters of camouflage. Xenomorphs move in shadows, hide in nests, and blend into the environment, becoming practically invisible. They take advantage of nest structures, walls, and ceilings to hide and attack their unsuspecting prey. In artificial environments, they camouflage themselves perfectly frighteningly, merging with their surroundings and waiting for the right moment to attack. And that's not all. Xenomorphs are incredibly durable and resistant. They can survive severe injuries, gunshots, stabbings, and in some cases, even explosions. They can live in extreme conditions, in vacuum, in high and low temperatures, which makes them almost invincible creatures. This ability to resist damage and hostile environments is crucial for their survival and makes them an even greater threat. And how do they locate their prey? We've mentioned they don't see with eyes, but use other senses. They detect pheromones, vibrations, and even their victims' heartbeats. It's as if they can sense their prey's presence even in darkness and without vision. This ability to locate their prey is what makes them so effective in hostile environments. They also move in an agile and stealthy manner, climbing walls, ceilings, and moving in tight spaces. They can pursue their prey anywhere and adapt to different hunting situations. It's as if they were designed to be perfect predators. In summary, xenomorphs are relentless hunting machines, with a combination of brute force, instinctive intelligence, and adaptation abilities. They aren't just random monsters, but meticulous creatures that use every advantage in their favor. And if you think these hunting abilities are scary, let's dive even deeper into the xenomorph universe. Let's talk about the species diversity and its different variations. And if you thought you'd seen everything in terms of xenomorphs, prepare for another surprise: the species diversity. Because yes, they're not all the same. There are different types, castes, and variations, each with their own characteristics and functions. Starting with the castes, we have the drones, the hive's workers, responsible for finding new prey, building nests, and caring for eggs. They're more agile, smaller, and generally more common. Next, we have the warriors, larger, stronger, and with head ridges, the protectors of the hive and queen. They're more aggressive and dangerous than drones. Then we have the Praetorians, the royal guard, even stronger and loyal to the queen. They stand out for their bone crown and have the function of protecting the queen at all times. And of course, we have the queen, the center of everything, the hive's leader and responsible for generating all other xenomorphs. But that's not all. There are several variations of the species, each with its unique characteristics. We have the Predaliens, hybrids of xenomorphs and predators, with even more enhanced strength and abilities. We have the xenomorphs from Alien Resurrection, with altered human DNA, which gives them slightly different appearance and abilities. We have the runners, who move on 4 legs and are faster and more agile. And of course, we can't forget about the Neomorph, a variation of the species that emerged from a black substance that causes mutations. The Neomorph, by the way, deserves special attention. It differs from the xenomorph by having a more organic appearance, without the species' biomechanical characteristics. Its head is more elongated and pointed, its skin is pale, and it has a jaw that projects outward. Additionally, it doesn't have the same acid blood and feeds on its prey's flesh. It's also more savage and less intelligent than the xenomorph. The creation of these creatures is linked to the black liquid, a mutagenic substance that was used by the engineers in their biological experiments. The goal was to use these creatures to eliminate non-plant life from planets, making them true walking exterminators. And the truth is that the xenomorph universe is full of surprises and variations. Each movie, each story presents us with a new form of alien horror. And it's this diversity that makes the species so fascinating and terrifying at the same time. But, despite all this variety, one thing is certain. All xenomorph variations are extremely dangerous and deadly creatures. And if you're finding this diversity incredible, let's talk about the most important question: how to kill a xenomorph. After all, such a frightening creature must have at least one weak point, right? After all this exploration of xenomorphs' anatomy, physiology, reproduction, and abilities, we come to the question that won't go away: how to kill these creatures. Because, let's be honest, they're practically invincible, but not all hope is lost. They also have their weak points. And the first and most obvious one is fire. Xenomorphs are extremely vulnerable to heat. Flamethrowers, Molotov cocktails, and even explosions can be effective in finishing these creatures. Fire causes irreversible damage to their exoskeleton and internal tissues and can kill them at any stage of their life cycle. But attention, the Predalien, that hybrid of xenomorph and predator, has a protective layer that makes it more resistant to fire, although it still feels pain from extreme heat. But it's not just fire that can finish a xenomorph. Conventional firearms can cause some damage, but usually aren't enough to kill them. Pistols and rifles might not be very effective, unless they hit very vulnerable points or are used in large quantities. High-powered weapons, like the M41A pulse rifle, can cause more serious damage and even explode their bodies. Plasma weapons, like those used by predators, are much more effective against these creatures. And of course, we can't forget about bladed weapons. Knives, swords, and other piercing objects can cause damage to xenomorphs, but there's a problem. The acid blood can corrode metal, making these weapons a poor choice in the long run. The important thing is to know that the challenge increases whether you're fighting a single xenomorph or a horde of them. Curiously, it's easier to kill a group than just one. This is because, in groups, xenomorphs are more careless and less cautious, which makes them more vulnerable to attacks. A single xenomorph, however, is extremely agile, stealthy, and difficult to hit. Additionally, in extreme conditions, it's possible to cause thermal shock to the xenomorph's exoskeleton, making it more vulnerable to other types of attacks. Sudden exposures to extreme temperatures can weaken the creature's body structure. And, in the Queen's case, fire seems to be the best way to eliminate her. The problem is that she's usually protected by other xenomorphs, which makes the task much more difficult. In summary, xenomorphs are difficult creatures to kill, but they're not invincible. Fire, plasma weapons, and the use of intelligent strategies are the best ways to defeat them. The important thing is to be prepared and not underestimate their adaptation capacity. And so, we come to the end of our journey through the anatomy, physiology, and life cycle of xenomorphs, a true immersion in the horrifying and fascinating world of these creatures. We've seen how these monsters are more than just evil beings. They are complex organisms, with surprising adaptations and a biology to rival any nightmare. In summary, the xenomorph is a creature that personifies alien horror. It's not just a monster, but a perfect killing machine, an organism that combines biology, adaptation, and terror in a unique package. And it's precisely this combination that makes it so fascinating for fans of the genre. So, what did you think of our exploration of the xenomorph world? Leave your comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, so you don't miss any content about fantastic creatures. And as always, get ready, because we still have lots of adventure and mystery to explore together. See you next time and stay safe.